Abigail is from Dallas. It's the summer vacation. She's in her room with her friend Samantha. Samantha says, "Let's go to a concert next week." "I can't," Abigail says. Dad's working in Dubai for Deep Oil for 3 weeks, and Mom's going with him. "What about you?" Samantha asks. "I'm staying with my Aunt May in California," Abigail says. "I don't want to go, but nobody listens to me." Next week, Aunt May drives Abigail home from the airport in her crazy old car. In Aunt May's house, Abigail finds a lot of pebbles in her room. "They're all different," her aunt says. "Your mom and I are sisters, but we're different, too." "What am I doing here?" Abigail thinks. "My aunt's crazy." 3 days later, Samantha calls Abigail. She tells her all about the concert. Abigail listens quietly. She cries after she puts down the phone. When she goes into Aunt May's studio, her aunt says, "I'm going into town for paint this afternoon. Do you want to come?" "No, thanks," Abigail says. Suddenly Aunt May cries, "Be careful." My new picture. Now there's black paint on Abigail's best pants. She runs angrily out of the studio and away. When she stops, she's on the beach. A boy is putting something into bags there. "What are you doing?" she asks him. "Picking up garbage," he answers. "When birds eat it, it kills them." "I'm Diego," he says. "And you're staying in May Wilson's house." "How do you know?" Abigail asks. "We're neighbors." Diego says. "Do you want to help me?" he asks. "Okay," Abigail answers. They walk on the beach, talk, and pick up garbage. Abigail forgets the paint on her pants. When it's time to go home, she says, "Let's meet here again tomorrow." "No, let's go to the national park," Diego says. "My cousin Bianca works there. She can take us." Maybe," Abigail says. That evening, Abigail tells her aunt, "Sorry about earlier. Can I visit the national park tomorrow with Diego and his cousin?" "Sure," Aunt May smiles. Next day, Bianca takes Diego and Abigail to Point Reyes National Park. They see a lot of animals. When they're walking there, Abigail suddenly cries. "Ugh, there's something on me." "It's a beautiful beetle," Bianca says. Abigail looks down at the beetle. "Well, it is a nice color," she thinks. Abigail has a good time at the park. "Do you want to come again?" "We can have a picnic next time," Bianca says. "Okay, but when?" Abigail asks. It's a windy evening when Abigail comes home. "Nice day?" Aunt May asks. "Yes," Abigail answers, "and we're having a picnic at Point Reyes tomorrow." That night, there's a storm. Abigail can't sleep. She gets up for some water. Just then, Aunt May comes in and finds her. "What's the matter?" she asks. "Well," begins Abigail. They sit at the table. Abigail plays with the pebbles there and speaks about her parents. "Dad's always working, and Mom doesn't like my friends," she says. "Talk to them," Aunt May tells her. "How can I?" Abigail answers. Next morning, Abigail and her aunt are watching TV. A reporter is talking. "Today, after last night's storm, there's a ship on the rocks at Point Reyes, and a lot of oil in the water," the reporter says. Diego and Bianca arrive at Aunt May's house. "No picnic today," Abigail says. "Not with that oil spill," Diego agrees. "But maybe we can help. We must go and see." When they arrive at Point Reyes, there's oil on the beach. Diego and Abigail see a lot of dead birds. The mayor is talking to a reporter. "Neighbors from villages near here must help," he says. "We're having a meeting this afternoon. Look at the beach." Abigail cries. "What can we do?" "Let's go to the meeting and see," Bianca answers. There are a lot of people at the meeting. "Teams of people can pick up the oil," the mayor says. "But how do we move the ship?" a man asks. "I don't know," the mayor answers. "Ask that man there. He's from the oil company." "Deep Oil can't move the ship," the oil man says. "It's our oil." "But it isn't our ship, you see. Deep Oil's my dad's company," Abigail says. After the meeting, Aunt May tells Abigail, "I can't call your father. We don't get on. You must do it." "But Dad never listens to me," Abigail cries. "You can change things," her aunt says. "Believe me." She's right, Abigail thinks. So she calls. In Dubai, Abigail's dad is sleeping when the phone rings. It's 4 a.m. here," he says. "What is it, Abigail?" "Sorry, Dad," Abigail says. "I need your help." She tells him about the ship on the rocks and the oil spill. He listens. "Talk to people in your company, Dad," she says. "Please persuade them. They must help." "Okay," he answers. After the phone call, Abigail tells her aunt, "He's talking to people at Deep Oil. It's working. You see," Aunt May says. Next morning, Bianca and Diego are cleaning the beach when Abigail and Aunt May arrive. They work all day and all week. One day, Abigail and Diego are cleaning birds. "There's oil all over me. But I'm okay with that," Abigail thinks. "I can't believe it." After work, her phone rings. "Abigail, your mom and I are in Dallas," her dad says. You can come home. Oh, Dad. Abigail cries. Abigail listens to her phone. Everybody here in the Dallas office agrees, her dad says. A deep oil team's coming to Point Reyes. That's wonderful. Abigail cries happily. Hey, take it easy. They can't empty the ship in a day, her dad says. So can I stay here for longer, she asks. Sure, her dad answers. Next week, the deep oil team arrives and begins work. Abigail and Diego help at the beach for weeks. After work, the two of them visit the national park. They learn about the animals there from Bianca. But then the summer finishes, and Abigail's vacation finishes, too. At the airport, Aunt May gives a heavy little bag to Abigail. Diego gives a picture of a whale to her. Can you see whales here? Abigail asks Diego. In the spring, he answers. Abigail's dad meets her in Dallas. Sorry about your vacation, he says. Why? Abigail laughs. I get on with Aunt May. I want to visit her again next spring. At home, Abigail empties her aunt's heavy little bag on the table. Every pebble's different, she tells her parents. Her mom smiles. Her dad laughs. And Abigail laughs, too. Suddenly it's good to be home.